Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DiFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco, who has been creating espresso machines by hand in Florence since 1927. Their innovation, dependability, and quality of craftsmanship is unmatched. That's why some of the world's best coffee bars use and rely on La Marzocco. I love working on their machines. And a great example of the kind of innovation that they take on behalf of their customers is the KB90 espresso machine. It's got the straight-in locking portafilters for ergonomics, scales in the drip tray for accuracy of your extractions, and also the auto flush feature, which improves your cleanliness and workflow. It's just one example of many machines that La Marzocco has created that will fit your needs perfectly. All you need to do is reach out to info@lamarzocco.usa.com, and one of their salespeople will help you get outfitted with the right machine for you. Again, info@lamarzocco.usa.com. And also don't forget to check out their website, lamarzocco.usa.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Espressly, who is creating custom branded mobile apps for independent coffee retailers to really have the market share on your customer's device. So when they want to use a mobile ordering app, yours is the one they turn to, and it feels like your culture, your brand. It's a really great extension of that to your customer while offering them this convenience service of a mobile app. It's a no-risk model when you use Espressly. There's no setup or development fees. You get a drive-through payment scanner, receipt and label printing capabilities. All of the data is stored in the app itself, and it integrates with some of the world's best payment processing systems, including Square. So I would encourage you to reach out to them today and have them get started on your app. It's a truly wonderful service over at Espressly. Check them out over at espressly.co. That's Espressly.co. All right, everybody. Well, today I wanted to talk to you about things that the owner cannot do for you. I think it's a really important topic because when we talk about the power dynamics of a coffee bar or any work environment where somebody is in charge and there's somebody who has authority, that automatically tends to make everybody think that when there's a lack, it's based in that individual or it's up there. It's not here. It's not my responsibility. And there is some truth to that when it comes to the kind of power that people have. Yes, there are lots of times where owners and managers they don't do their jobs well, and it's the mission of this particular show and others that you'd like to see the culture of leadership in coffee bars improve. But right along with that, you want to see your own self-leadership improve as well. You can't really be a great leader unless you know how to lead yourself. And so if we're talking about people who you're frustrated with as leaders, and we tend to think, oh, I could do a better job. Well, until you get into that position, you don't necessarily know. But I can tell you, if you refuse to lead yourself and take responsibility for the things that really kind of begin with you and are your responsibilities, it's going to be very difficult for you to be a good leader in the future. So if you want to grow and you want to make a difference in the future, then I would advise you to start really looking at yourself first in these situations before going to blame other people around you. So the very first thing I want to mention here is motivation. I cannot motivate you as your leader. That is your decision. You cannot come into an environment like a work environment and expect that somebody is going to inject you with motivation. I'm assuming that you came of your own free will to apply at this place and you were motivated enough to put in an application. But there's this phenomena where you get into a job and then all of a sudden, maybe it's because it's hard, which is not bad. Jobs can be hard, and that's fine. That's what work is. That's, hard work is hard. We have a whole shift break called Hard Work is Hard. You should listen to that one. But we then kind of play this game of hard to get with motivation. We let the stress get to us, the daily work, and then we act as though the only way that we can be motivated is if somebody kind of scoops us up and delivers us to this promised land of motivation, and we're just along for the ride. Like we are empty vessels that need to be filled. And I don't believe that that's really healthy. I don't think that that's how great cultures are formed, but it is a very common part of working in a coffee shop where you then have owners who say, how can I motivate my team? Well, the first thing is you shouldn't have hired people who need constant propping up and constant motivation. Realistically, these are adult human beings who are, I believe, reasonably should be responsible for their own motivation. Now, you can put something in the path of somebody's motivation and make it harder for them. That's true. But you need to come with your own energy to an environment and really deliver a great job for more than just the reason of the business itself. Now, you might be part of a coffee shop where you really love the mission and vision and values, you love the company, all of that. And at the same time, your vision and your purpose behind working there needs to be more than just that because people are fallible, people are imperfect, and people and organizations, which is just organized groups of people doing things together, will also let you down. So you have to have something more in mind than this idolized version of what you believe others should do. And then lo and behold, as if, nobody could predict this, they turn out to be imperfect. And now you're just like, blah, you're just unleashing on the world when secretly you kind of knew that it was going to be the case. And so let's not play games here. You can create more of a consistent emotional environment for yourself when you don't rely on the perfection of other people and you don't rely on other people to motivate you. You then can go through jobs that are less than ideal and you will be okay because that job is not your end all be all. Which leads me to the next thing that the owner can't do for you, and that is provide you with meaning. Yes, you can resonate with and harmonize with and vibe with the vision and values, like I said, but the meaning of this job is going to be different for each person. Now, for some people, it's just a job. That's a meaning too. Just as much as it is, I want this job to be a stepping stone in the future of my career, and here's the things I want to learn at this particular juncture of my career. You need to bring your own meaning to the party here, okay? And that meaning might vary slightly. That doesn't mean that you try to replace the things that this job requires of you, like you try to subvert their values and mission so that you can work out yours. You need to search for a place where you do find meaning in the work and that it's not reliant on them to give you that meaning. And so I heard this said in this book called The E-Myth Manager by Michael Gerber. And it was talking about how management sometimes has this issue where we will want people to fill us up. Like we come in as a vacuum. There's no substance. We just say, okay, give me meaning. Define who I am, please. Be my parent. Be my all in all, And what ends up happening is we just we kind of suck in like a vacuum will, nature hates a vacuum. And so that vacuum gets filled with whatever. And oftentimes it might not be good things. And so that's why it's dangerous to not have meaning for yourself when you go in there. The other thing that I want to mention is that you cannot expect the owners to provide for you accountability and discipline when you are not providing it for yourself. When you're motivated, when you have meaning, and you bring that to the table, I think a natural outworking of that is that you're going to have some level of self-discipline and accountability, personal accountability. It doesn't make it difficult for a manager to have to force you to just be consistent in the work. You're actually studying the work and you are motivated, as I said, to do better day after day, to discipline yourself to understand the work well, to become expert in the basics, to excel in those things, to hold yourself accountable for what you know is right, to have integrity as an individual. The owner cannot provide that for you. It's a drag. And you've been to shops where people don't pull their own weight. They know what to do. They just don't do it. That's the biggest thing is if you want to stand out as an employee, Whether you're in management or just a barista, just doing the basics well and providing these things as a baseline of personal responsibility makes it a lot more likely that others will do the same. And then a manager and a leader doesn't have to come up with all of these different team building exercises and finagle ways to like force people to be motivated and disciplined or accountable and give you meaning, but then everyone's constantly deflating after the meeting. And so at the end of the day, what we're talking about is a recipe for fulfillment. Even in an environment where it's more difficult, you can stand above the mess. If there's chaos, if there's toxicity, you can come out of that less impacted when you come in with these things already formed within yourself, because you weren't relying on the environment or other people to define these things for you. You're all automatically more resilient and you become more fulfilled in the process. So I hope that today's episode was helpful for you. This is something that I have struggled with definitely throughout the, many years of my career. I've done this well, I've done this poorly, and I hope that this resonates with you today. So thank you very much for taking the time to tune in. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the show, share these episodes with your team, your friends, with your PTA. And as always, I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.